Hello, I'm Dr. Theo Dounas. I'm very happy to be here along with my co-founder Heiko, who is in the laptop over there, and by chance also my partner in crime in research, Professor Davide Lombardi, who's here visiting. We're Adventurous Systems, and essentially normally we present this to a construction crowd, so we explain what blockchain is. I won't do that today. If you have that question, feel free to ask me during the drinks session, and I'll give you my idea what blockchain is. And our basic idea is to bring the value of buildings and construction on chain. A lot of what you're going to be seeing here is a result of a very long research trip. Adventurous Systems is basically me and Heiko. I'm an architect. I'm also an architect by training. Not of software architecture, right? So an architect of buildings, concrete, timber, and so on and so forth. Heiko is a civil engineer, and we both met at the consensus blockchain developer sessions back in 2020 during COVID, and we kind of shared the passion between blockchain and the built environment. I was doing a lot of research with Davide on blockchain for construction, because we found it a really interesting concept, jumping from computational design onto this new and brave world. So what is this about, right? This is about the architecture, engineering, construction, and operations industry. It's actually the largest industrial conglomerates in the world, the largest industrial complex in the world. And unfortunately, it's one of the most fragmented industries in the world. It's comprising out of really small players that need to come together to create a building like the one you're in. It's very unproductive. So the last 40 years, the increase in productivity in construction has been about 1% every year compared to other industries that have gone to a level of 10 to 10% year on year, if you compare construction with, say, manufacturing or the airline industry and so on and so forth. And it's very much so adversarial because construction kind of inherits a lot of the medieval guild kind of setup that we have had for 500 years. So our goal is to make it a lot more integrated, a lot more productive, and a lot less adversarial, a lot more building on trust and collaboration. We've been conducting with Davide research on blockchain and its applications in architecture first, and then so the design of buildings, and then the construction of buildings since 2016. It started from China, now it's China and Scotland. We published this volume on blockchain for construction in 2022, which kind of set the scene for other researchers as well to be productive on this kind of idea. And this whole thing, and it's not just a book, right? I'm going to go through a series of titles from tokenizing building components to discretization strategies to integration to building information modeling and blockchain integration and so on and so forth. So we've produced a wealth of research that deals with multiple topics from tokenization to collaboration, to optimization, and on the governance of buildings, and so on and so forth. And we ended up essentially creating a company because it's very nice to write papers and produce prototypes, but only researchers will read this. We actually think there is a lot of value that we can take from prototypes into actually bringing this to life. So we're here to present two projects that we're developing. One is called Trace.construction. It's actually a digital marketplace for a circular economy in the construction industry in Scotland. It's part of a research project funded by Beyond Net Zero. It's a partnership between Robert Gordon University and Hertford University in Edinburgh. We are the industrial partner, and we're implementing essentially the marketplace. The main physical marketplace is located in Stirling. It's the Stirling Reuse Hub. And the basic problem they have is that they want to create a circular economy around construction material, but they have no way of tracing where they came from, what is the value, and where they're going to go. And this is actually a very good fit for some of the prototypes we've built earlier with Davide, where we built a tokenization of building components and an early understanding of how you can trace a building component from one building into another as you create a circular economy. At this moment, we are halfway through the project. We've done all of our industrial stakeholders engagement. We are building now our ecosystem mapping, and we will go into developing our token economics and the first prototype that we hope will be live in the next 8 months. This is only about one reuse hub, but the project has ambitions to grow. At the same time, the Scottish Government is looking at, through the Circonfin project that Zero Waste Scotland is participating in, and we're trying to collaborate with them. They're trying to create more physical circular economy marketplaces for construction materials. And we hope that Trace and the digital marketplace that we're creating will power and feed those physical construction, circular economy construction hubs. Our second prototype is something that has been developing for a while, also from the research perspective. It's called Crypto Twin, and it's about building digital twins of buildings powered by blockchain technology. We haven't deployed this yet on chain, but you can take a look at the prototype on GitHub. We should have that deployed on a layer 2 in the next months. And the main idea here is that most of the tokenization that you see of data right now do not fit the way you would do it for a building. So tokenizing a JPEG or an image or another document does not go near the complexity that the data for a building needs to have. So what we're trying to do is essentially rebuild a whole building out of a graph. And to do that, we use what is called the industrial foundation classes. I won't bore you to death with this. This is a building information modeling file type that is human readable. Then we use Topologic Pi, which is a graph generation and spatial topology library, and then a graph database, and then obviously at the end we tokenize everything on a smart contract that we have customized to handle the complexity of the building. Now the two things that we are doing here is that throughout the whole tech stack we preserve spatial hierarchy, so a space is a space and it can recognize that around it you have walls and windows and everything else. You need to have a boundary and the condition for a building. And then the way we do that is, first stage is ingesting the data, parsing, building essentially the graph with nodes and edges. Then this is stored in a graph database, and through that then we use a custom ERC 998 contract to put it on chain. And so far, I haven't talked about transactions or payments or anything else that you might probably expect to hear in a blockchain presentation, because all of this is just infrastructure for the next steps. So why are we building this, right? So we want to present essentially some cases that we think our technology can enable. So first of all, you can have compositional ownership, not only on the level of fractionalizing, a building, for example, and say, okay, I have a building, I can tokenize that asset and fractionalize it, but you could, for example, own certain parts of the building that can be used as a service, for example, the MEP installation or the elevator installation. You can also create the infrastructure for verifiable construction. One of the problems that we have as an industry, the construction industry, is that you build a building and then you have no way of having provenance of data. Data gets lost, leading to a lot of problems then on operations. So using our technology, you are able to essentially verify where data came from, what exactly has happened on site, and what are the risks and possibilities for the future in terms of maintenance, automation, and so forth. The second thing you can do is you can actually perform automated performance payments based on verifying that specific construction parts have been executed according to specs. For example, you can measure HVAC efficiency. You can also incentivize a lot of the actors that get out of the construction sequence very early on. For example, one of the best things you can do in construction is build foundations, because you get paid and then you're out of the project. Whatever happens later is not part of your problem. Whereas with construction, with blockchain for construction, and with tying governance rights with the performance of the whole asset, you can incentivize everybody to collaborate and stay on, and that's how you potentially solve problems of adversarial behavior. Of course, we mentioned trace, right? So you can connect essentially a supply chain and its transparency with what happens at the level of the building. And then you can also start developing new business models of design as a service or predictive maintenance or even dynamic insurance. So one of the problems that the insurance industry has in construction is that it has high risk, and that leads to high premiums. And one of the ways we can control this and lower it and be competitive is by providing much better data and information through the whole life cycle of the building. And the main idea here is that we're going from static assets to programmable, composable building graphs with trusted histories where you can understand what happened to a building 30 years down the line when it's important to understand whether maintenance failed or it was a construction problem. Initially, we wanted to have a demo. Anyone who wants a demo, I can show it to you on the laptop, right? But you can see essentially how it works. And we have a nice balloon animation if you actually manage to tokenize the whole building. And the main idea here is that we're trying to, so if you know anyone who owns a building, maybe your house, or a hospital, or a university building, please come and talk to us because we'd love to put it on chain and actually set up all of the beautiful things that we're trying to set up. We're trying to set up a pilot on construction progress, so actually showcase how it can improve the construction process from the design phase until delivery. There is a critical component that deals with the handover. So when you finish construction and you are about to give the asset to the asset owner and deliver the whole data of what you've produced, blockchain can help a lot in terms of trustworthiness and verifiability. And obviously create extended warranties, audits, help with audits, and create digital logbooks for operations. And of course, moving on to a circular economy, it can help with circularity and so on and so forth. I already mentioned, right, we can get essentially a tamper-evident record of data provenance of what has happened with the construction process. And at the same time, one of the things that we know will change as a business model if you use our prototype is that you can get a more fair spread of the payments around the construction pilot. At the same time, we're essentially offering services to bootstrap ourselves, right? So we're not funded yet. We're open to exploratory conversations with strategic investors and partners. So if you have a couple of Bitcoins you can spare, we can have a discussion. I assure you we can tie it to a real estate asset and you can track it. But we would love to meet actually with construction project owners or any other kind of operator. So it might not be, you might not be dealing with the messiness of construction, but if you're operating a building or you work somewhere where you're operating a building, we can help you improve the situation. And what we want to end up with is essentially a golden thread of information that tracks a building from conception to design to construction to operations and kind of revolutionizes how the construction industry operates. Again, these are our pilots. If you want to have a call with us, just come and have a discussion with me during the drinks, and I'm happy to take any questions right now.